Good evening. I'm Peggy Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, Poppy Tooker with an exclamation point, host of the WWNO radio program Louisiana 8. It's good to see you,
hey,
Poppy. And making their Steppin Out debut, arts patrons Sydney and Walda Besthoff, and they are the winners of our annual Celeste Udell Arts Award. Yay! Good to see you all. So glad you're here. And Steppin Out theater critic Alan Smason, who is also the editor of the Crescent City Jewish News. Hello.
Glad to be here.
Well, first up, you're gone fancy, girl.
Oh, well, you know, every week, if I eat something during the week that just really knocks my socks off, I feel compelled to take a picture of it and call it my food porn shot of the week. And this week, the food porn comes straight from Doris Metropolitan. Now, you can have such a great meal of their appetizers at the bar. Check this out. The presentation, that is a whole beet. And when they bring it out, it's a whole beet. You don't see what's in it. And then they cut it into quarters in front of you, and this yummy goodness comes out of the Beetroot Supreme. It's a cheese and walnut filling with creme fraiche glaze and mascarpone ricotta cream.
Mascarpone. Ooh.
Oh my goodness, it's worth. You can be a vegetarian and have a really good time at that steakhouse with that beet. So another really interesting thing that's happening this week. Chef Scott Mackey, who is going to be opening up a restaurant called Trinity that's going to go into the old Maximo space. He is going to have what he's calling a Trinity Roadie pop-up. And roadie is the Cajun slang word for to run the roads and never stay home. And this is going to be one night only. There's only 35 seats, and I'll be in one of those 35 seats. That's next Wednesday, 5 courses, $75. That is the alligator pear and shrimp ravigote salad. It'll be preceded by the Cajun copia Coubillon Crudo.
That's very good.
And there's going to be a surprise cocktail served with the amuse-bouche, and then the rest of the dinner will have perfectly gorgeous wine pairings. This is a deal for $75. How about Vietnamese-styled hogshead cheese? I don't know what that is. I can't imagine. I'll tell you next week. Golden potato gnocchi with Louisiana jumbo lump crab and wild mushroom ragu. Day boat Gulf fish with a caper, brown butter, and preserved lemon sauce. And then, you and I are going to love this dessert, the Papa Rouge float, which is Creole cream cheese ice cream and soda rouge. Yum, red
Anything
drink.
with Creole cream cheese, kiddo.
Sounds like something you'd get at the old K&B counter, to tell you the truth.
It certainly does. We'll have to talk about that
Absolutely. And then there is a new restaurant on Magazine Street that has just recently opened that knocked my socks off last week. It's called Kenton's, and it's a whiskey bar. It boasts of over 150 whiskeys. It is a beautiful space. It's right there on the corner of Magazine and Nashville. The owners are Sean Josephs, and his wife's name is Manny Dawes. Sorry, I was going to trip on that. And they have a chef partner whose name is Kyle Nall. Now, Kyle was a sous chef at Gramercy Tavern, one of my all-time favorite New York restaurants. And it's a gorgeous place because Manny's mother, Nancy Dawes, is an artist, and there are these beautiful glass panels that divide the bar from the restaurant that she's done. They're glass, and they've got like black etching on them depicting a scene of the 19th century Mississippi River, what it looked like. An oyster bar with a brass countertop, and then wait till you hear about the dinner I had. Crab toast with celery and ginger aioli. Lightly smoked amberjack with satsuma, nardello peppers, and radishes. Hay roasted oysters, never had that before, with brown butter, pickled shallots, and salsify. A beet and turnip salad with almonds and blue cheese dressing. Grilled flatbread. Oh, Lord, that was so good the table had to have 2. With charred corn, tomato, okra, and sheep's milk feta cheese. And then the dessert, a satsuma tart with toasted meringue and buttermilk sherbet.
Oh, man.
Oh, what a dinner that was. All of that and an old-fashioned cocktail, too.
Thank you, Poppy. And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. You know, we're delighted that each time we've got a wonderful trivia question. And last week, Bill Revere told us how long LSU's Billy Cannon's game's winning touchdown run was on Halloween night, 1959, and against which team? 89 yards and Ole Miss. Now tonight's question. As a former head coach of an NFL team, Alabama's Nick Saban was advised by doctors not to sign a certain free agent quarterback. What was the NFL team? Who was the quarterback? Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes, a year's subscription to Louisiana Life magazine. And tonight we have an apron worn by WYES staffer Kevin Giblin with the message, claw and order from our friends at wearablevegetables.com. We also have, courtesy of Pelican Publishing, a copy of the brand new book, New Orleans Mardi Gras Moments by me and photographer Judy Batoni, and Poppy's Two Jacks cookbook. Yay, Poppy. You can visit WYES.org for our online calendar, a lineup of events, including Christopher Saucedo's current exhibit, Pints, Quarts, and Gallons, now at Lemieux Gallery. And you can link to our WYES YouTube channel to view our program on our homepage. And now I am so thrilled to tell you about this year's award winner. Celeste Udell was a very dear friend of WYES and a very busy arts patron herself. Visual arts, music, the Opera Association. She was just quite a spectacular lady, and we lost her in 2010. But each year since then, we have paid homage to either someone or someone's in the visual or performing arts. And this year, we're really delighted that it's Sydney and Walda Besthoff. And we have, talk about homegrown, a wonderful Mark Rosenbaum from Rose Tree Glass has put together this beautiful vase for us. They're in Algiers Point. If you've never been to Rose Tree, check it out. They're in an old movie theater. And we want to bestow this to Sydney and Walda Besthoff, and let's toast to them.
Oh, it's
Hooray!
beautiful.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you. And you all have done so many fine things for the community. Of course, the name Besthoff, if you've not met the Besthoffs, may sound vaguely familiar, right? If you've ever shopped in New Orleans and grew up, we of course remember in such a beloved way K&B and all those great Katz and Besthoffs drugstores. And but even apart from that, for so many years, they've been so involved with art. Let's talk about, first off, especially these days, because it seems to continue to grow, the sculpture garden. And we're going to, I had quizzed you a few days ago on your favorite things in the sculpture garden. So we'll show you those while we're talking. But was that a long time dream to do a sculpture garden?
Oh, yes, very much so. And
now this is a culmination. How long have you been collecting contemporary art?
Oh, many years.
40,
many
about
years.
40. We're finally getting it right.
Well, I know you're building what was the former John Hancock building.
Right.
It was originally sort of the stage for a lot of your art, wasn't it?
Right.
Is that how it began?
That's how it began.
K&B Plaza now.
K&B Plaza now. Bought the building. It had the Noguchi sculpture and fountain on it, which wasn't working. And it was completely bare. And I thought it would be interesting to put a few other pieces on it. So I called up a contact I had from the past, George Rickey, and he sent me down an 8mm movie. That's how long ago it was. And of his work, of his moving kinetic pieces. And subsequently, Walda and I went up to Chatham, New York, where his studio was, and took a look around and commissioned this piece.
George had been on the staff at Tulane. He was a teacher, and he taught Sydney how to love sculpture. That was the beginning of the love affair, because George was very forthcoming and gave so much good information about
So that's
everything.
how it began. And of course, that building still stands right there at Lee Circle.
Right.
But now we move over then. When did the idea for the sculpture garden at City Park begin?
It began in the late 90s.
Okay, and we'll show some of your favorite things as we talk.
And John Bullard came to me, then the director of the New Orleans Museum, and we had a number of pieces by then on the plaza, and he thought it would be nice to do something with them. And we sat down and talked.
And of course, we're right in front of Noma at this point, and the garden is right to the left as you're facing Noma.
Right.
And that's one of my favorites, I have to say. I was glad that was one of yours.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and actually, that Diana that you were looking at with her bow and arrow, the Metropolitan Museum has one of the same series, and theirs is up on a lintel, a post that's high. So we just copied it. Sidney took out his tape measure, and we put the same base on. We thought if it was good enough for the Metropolitan, it was good enough for New Orleans.
Now, if I recall correctly, you all are very hands-on. You have a lot of input as to where those sculptures go in that garden, don't you?
Yes, we do. And we talk about it with the museum, though, because we wouldn't do anything that they didn't want.
And couldn't. We have a wonderful team in place now. Susan Taylor's the director. She's very interested. Lisa McCord is the deputy director. We have a new contemporary art director, Katie Fold. She's curator.
Pam Buckman, I know, is very much a part
Pam
of it all.
Buckman is a
She's
star.
Great. And there's yoga in the garden sometimes, too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Understand.
Anyway, it is, and the original architect, Lee Ledbetter, who's a great talent, is very interested in placement. So there are a lot of cooks, but so far no one has spoiled the broth.
Oh, well, that's good. And one of the, of course, joys of all of this is that it's free, that you can go to the sculpture garden. There is a slight charge for Noma itself, but you can just walk in and just enjoy the day with all of this. I like the, and we don't have an image of it, but I like the giant spider.
Oh, that's great.
I think that's great for all kinds of kids there. And in terms of the sculpture itself, do you go visit your sculptures sometimes?
Oh, of course, frequently.
Well, Sidney really is very hands-on. He's there all the time, and there are, he's done a lot of building, and there's, every time a new sculpture comes in, it has to be brought in with a crane, and Sidney handles all of that.
So you're still shopping. You continue to look for more
Oh, absolutely.
items?
Also, the land, it is a garden, so it has to be cut down and regrown, and but we love it. I can't think of a better.
Well, it's such a joy and a real contribution to the community. Now let's back up a little bit, because a former K&B warehouse is what we all know of today as the Contemporary Art Center. How did that come about? It's a long story, I'm sure.
It's a long story, but a woman named Luba Glade, who was very active in the arts in New Orleans years ago, she's dead now, came to call on me and said, wouldn't it be nice if we did something with this? We just moved out of the building, and I thought it was a good idea. And we leased it for $1 a year to the CAC at the time.
That's a lot.
And they never paid the $1.
Oh, really? It's not even framed. Huh? No, this is the late 70s, early 80s. Just put this in perspective, and it continues to thrive.
Right.
And what a neighborhood, because it was sort of a pioneer in that warehouse district area.
It really was
the
linchpin of the entire area.
The World War II museums across the street, you know.
We redid that building completely in the 80s.
You sure did, huh?
Yeah.
Well, are you shopping? Can you give us a sneak preview? Is there another item going back to the sculpture garden that we can look forward to soon? Or are you still thinking about it?
I don't think we can talk about that.
Okay.
Actually, there's a piece that we did buy that's not in New Orleans yet. The garden is getting fairly crowded. The piece is by a Belgian artist. We thought he was French. He speaks France. He lives in France, but he's not. He's Belgian. His name is Johan Creton. And it's a column. It's abstract, but it's very tree-like, but it's very appealing because it's finished on all sides, and there actually was no room for it in the garden. However, there's a wonderful spot. There's a patio outside of our cafe, which Ralph Brennan runs.
Yes,
it's a darling
indeed.
cafe, very delicious. But there's a courtyard, and it will be centered in the courtyard. So
right.
it has two views, the cafe and a museum view. So it's a natural.
You gave a scoop. Thank you so much. And we're so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Congratulations.
Thank you, Peggy.
And now it's time for our weekly artist spotlight. And tonight we're featuring two works. The first is She Sings to Fishes, by Stephanie Akers, a native New Orleanian. Akers earned her fine arts degree from UNO and also studied at the Academy of Fine Arts on Magazine Street. The second piece is Egret by Connie Brechtel. That's beautiful. Both of them are. She's originally from New Orleans. Brechtel started her career at the Dubai International Arts Center in the UAE. After returning to the States, she received her associate degree in fine arts at Delgado. They are both included in an exhibition of 20 artists called Within Our Community. This opens tomorrow with a reception from noon to 4 at St. Philip's Episcopal Church in Algiers, and after that it'll be open daily from 1 to 5 until November 15th. Also tomorrow in Mandeville, the Art Collaborative will present an art studio tour with numerous artists opening their galleries to the public from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can find more information on the City of Mandeville website. And now, Alan!
Well, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how important the CAC has been for theater as well as the Sculpture Garden. So we want to thank you for doing that, because between Drama Rum and all the things that they presented back in the CAC, and now, of course, the NOLA Project, all the things that they're doing there, it's a fabulous performing space, and thank you very much. All right, first of all, I also wanted to mention what a wonderful, beautiful turnout of friends, family, faculty members, and students at Delgado there was this past Tuesday night for the saying goodbye to Timothy Baker. The room was filled with at least 100 people, everybody giving tributes about what a wonderful man he was, basically saying goodbye to a man who had been there for 25 years of leadership. And fittingly, I think that this particular action took place in the theater that he had overseen for the last several years. I have a feeling, fittingly, that this will be named the Timothy Baker Theater eventually. On to, let's say, less serious endeavors, however. Yes, indeed, Terminator the musical. They've actually done this. Now, if you've ever seen the Terminator movies 1 and 2, which I believe are the two finest of that particular franchise, well, then you're going to have an idea about what's in store for you. Get on your Harley at full speed and play Bad to the Bone, because you're going to be getting to see Terminator the musical. Directed by Cammie West with Christopher Bettavenia and written by Brianna Bites. This is a silly send-off of the apocalyptic tale of the future. It's funny and very tongue-in-cheek. The three male leads of the Terminator are T, or the Terminator, Sean Richmond, who we last saw in Kingdom on Earth, the Tennessee Williams play. Kyle Reese, played by Jake Wynn Wilson, who was Spike in Vanya, Sonia, Masha, and Spike. And John Connor by Eli Tim. All fantastic actors. Yes, they sing and dance, and yes, many of them are seen in a parody of a nude performance. Ashley Rose Bailey is Sarah Connor, the great fighter, of course, against all the cyborgs. The set is by Matthew Collier and Rebecca Lindell. Really outstanding. I really enjoyed it. It's silly. It's a send-up. A lot of little inside jokes in it, of course. And music is only by two guys, Asher Griffith and Lex Seiler, on keyboards, on synthesizer, and guitar. They're all quite good. I really recommend it. It's the Old Marquet Theater. It's one of the reasons that the Faux Real Festival, which is just getting started up, with executive director Ben Mintz at the helm.
This was Fringe. This was a sort of...
It used to be the Fringe Festival,
okay.
and of course, with the Fringe Festival, they only had 5 days of concentrated plays and other activities. Now they've got 3 weeks in which to really stretch this whole thing out. It's not just about theater or performance art. It's about food. It's about drinks. It's about all kinds of things that you've never imagined before, poetry readings, things of that sort. So they've really stepped it up a notch, ramped it up, if you will. Again, the Old Marquet is just one of the venues. They have lots of different venues. I was last night over by the theater at St. Claude that Jim Fitzmaurice is running. They're going to have a piece there that Rebecca Mwasi is doing. There's a whole slew of things. And again, if you want to go onto their website, we'll talk a little bit about that later when I come back next week, about some of the offerings that they have there as well. One of the things that makes Faux Real so interesting, too, is that you'll get a lot of people who would not normally have an opportunity to present a play at a regular performance space. A really good example of this is the next item that I'm talking about, which is called Be in Touch. Be in Touch is really one of those plays that you would imagine that a group of neighborhood kids would get together and say, let's put on on a show. It's very similar to that.
Okay.
So it's by Mary Jacobs. She actually wrote it. She stars in it, and she plays a returnee to the planet New Orleans in the future. Now, again, yes, the planet New Orleans. Everybody has left Earth, and they have settled on their own planets. It is a very funny little send-up again. It's directed by her sister, Christy Jacobs Stanley, who, again, back in the old days when they were growing up together, would put on their own shows. So it's really a throwback again. I got to tell you, it's really a clever little 45-minute piece. They actually have it on the grounds adjacent to their own home where they have a tent set up. Mom feeds you. You have candy if you want, some lemonade. It's just like, regular show back in the neighborhood. Audience participation is included. It's at Claire's Garden, again, 2459 Odin Street. Again, it's going to play.
That?
Now, it is in Gentilly, and if you know where Brother Martin is, it's not far from there,
great.
right off of St. Rock Avenue. So if you know where St. Rock is, it's in that neighborhood. Again, I would recommend just, for something, a little change of pace. It's not in the area that Faux Real is concentrated in the Bywater, Marigny, and possibly. It's really out in Gentilly, yeah. So keep that in mind. Also, a little preview of something called Street Show. Now, this is two performers. Again, this is a local performer, Becca Chapman and Alex Smith, in collaboration with a physical comedian, Jenny Sargent. They've got a little cart, if you will, and they're this little rambunctious pair of guys who are going around and doing little shows before the actual big shows start up. So you may see this take place at the Old Marquet Theater. You may see it down at the theater at St. Claude. They're going to be roaming around the festival. It's going to be kind of fun. And again, Rebecca Chapman is a really talented actress, so I'm looking forward to this. But it's a little bit of clowning. That's some of the things that they like to do as well. Now, if you don't get a chance to see it, again, at the Faux Real Fest, I believe it's fauxrealnola.com. That's the website. And again, next week I'll have some other pictures and things from the festival. Also, a really talented piece that was done called Eulogy by Michael Burgos that I got a chance to see. Also very nice. Over at the Anthony Bean Community Theater, however, uptown, we have a really wonderful opportunity. For those of you who don't know who Irma Thomas is, you're going to find out really quick. Simply Irma is the story of Irma Thomas's life. It's at the Anthony Bean Community Theater on Carrollton Avenue, and this is Najwa Cook, who is actually playing the young Irma Thomas with the real deal. There she is, the soul queen of New Orleans. And again, tickets are sold out for Saturday night. Sorry.
She has the pipes, huh?
Oh, yep. And also, I got to tell you that Irma's doing so well with the box office that you may have trouble getting seats for next weekend, which is the closing weekend. So do call up Anthony Bean Community Theater. It's 862-PLAY, 862-PLAY, so you can get that one. Also, Anthony Bean, he also announced this week what some of his other offerings are for the season. So let's go over that real quick. Jungle Kings is going to be on in February, the 12th to the 28th. In April, Madame Tame's Spirit Bar. May 20th, we'll bring on, again, I had the sneak preview of it right here on our program, Southern Night, a tribute to Alan Toussaint and his music.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, that this is going to be similar to what Irma's doing now. July 20th, we'll bring in The Addams Family, which is opening for the first time as a regional production at the theaters for the Performing Arts in Kenner tonight. They're going to do another version of it, so it'll be a second repertory performance. And then, of course, in September of 2016, The Dance on Widow's Row, followed by in November, and You Belong to Me in December.
And you've got Detroit 67.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Yeah.
In September, Detroit 67.
What is that? What is that?
They're all very new
Musicals?
plays.
New
No,
musicals?
he's not doing as many musicals as you might think. The Addams Family is a musical, but most of these are just contemporary
mix.
plays. So keep that in mind.
Okay,
But he
good.
does such a great job, and we don't really get to acknowledge Anthony for the incredible job he does in terms of instruction in teaching theater to a lot of the kids who would not normally be able to have that opportunity.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And now it's time for our picks, puppies.
So many picks. Tomorrow, the Melatonin Festival. It's free. It's back at Markey Park. It's fun and delicious. Then, next Thursday night, get your tickets. It's going to sell out. Besh Big Easy at the Louisiana Eats and Cooks Club at Brady's Wine Warehouse with me. And then, next Friday night, Emerald Lagasse Foundation, Boudin Beer and Bourbon. Oh, it is a fun time. Get your tickets.
And they raise so much money. It's
and
really
it's all
great.
for Emerald supports
Yeah.
so many great causes.
Great. Walda.
Well, you gotta love New Orleans.
Now, a special event next week at NOMA.
Yes, the Odyssey Ball, which is arguably the most glamorous ball in New Orleans, and it's a long evening. It's full of all kinds of beautiful women with gowns. It's got music, it's got good food, and it always has surprises. Sydney has a compulsory dance with me every Odyssey ball. Last year we went on the floor, and I couldn't believe it because ladies were whisking by in organzas, men were twirling in the air. Well, we didn't know, but they had professional dancers. They got in who were just dancing with the rest of the hoi polloi. So, but it was exciting. It was beautiful. It's a good party, and it supports the museum, which of course is very dear to our hearts.
Absolutely.
So.
Thank you. Alan.
Well, I want to remind everybody two things coming up with the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra. One a little bit unconventional. That's first off, The Wizard of Oz. They're going to have the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra playing right with the film, so you'll be able to go home with Dorothy back to Kansas. And again, the LPO will be doing the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto on Thursday, November the 19th.
All right.
Also at the Orpheum.
And go get a Sazerac before you go to the Orpheum, right? Sounds good to me. And before we go to my pick, I wanted to share some photos from Halloween. First up, WYES staffer Aislinn Hinyap and her family portraying DC comic figures, including Bane and Catgirl and Poison Ivy. They're so cute. And we also have some trick-or-treaters saying last Friday from the Mid-City neighborhood, lots of precious little princesses, Disney characters, and some skeletons. Look at that. Oh, the cuteness quotient was very high. And yes, it turned out that indeed Friday was the better night after all. Look how darling that is. We did sit out there on the porch on Saturday, but we were it. That was okay. Friday, we had a ton, which was great. Now, my pick, Carrie McCafferty debuts her new novel. She's a busy bee. It's actually called A Killer Cocktail and a Splash of Tango, a martini mystery with a book release party and the signing. That's next Tuesday evening, November the 10th at the Eiffel Society on St. Charles Avenue. There will be a complimentary tango class at 7 p.m., followed by dancing, drinks, and book signing until 10:30, and you can visit her website to learn more. Also, don't forget her brand new beautiful book called New Orleans at Night. These amazing photographs of the evening that Carrie did. She's done so many. Of course, she is the mother of Obituary Cocktail. She did that great book, too.
I didn't think she wrote novels. This is something new.
Plus, I happen to know that she is a tango dancer as well.
I know that,
so I think she's combining all of this very, very well. It is such a joy to have you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And our best to Linda Mintz, also known as your sister, too,
absolutely.
with the talented actress and arts activist herself. Good night. Thank you for watching.